We do begin this Thursday with that breaking news just within the past hour. TMZ reporting wrestling legend Hulk Hogan has died at the age of 71. So memories, kind words for his family, and so many great times. All those memories pouring in for the death of wrestling legend Hulk Hogan, the man who taught millions to believe in themselves, just told secrets that changed everything we thought we knew about him. For over 40 years, Hulk Hogan stood tall as the ultimate good guy. Red and yellow, train hard, say your prayers, eat your vitamins. The American hero who picked up giants and made kids believe in heroes. But behind that famous mustache and bandana lived a man carrying secrets so heavy they nearly destroyed him. What you're about to hear isn't from some wrestling storyline. These are real confessions from Terry Bolley himself. Raw admissions that shocked the wrestling world and left grown men in tears. Some of these things came out during his darkest moments. Others came up years later when he finally found the courage to speak his truth. At the end of this video, you'll understand why even his harshest critics began seeing Hulk Hogan in a completely different light. These aren't just confessions. They're lessons about pain, making things right, and what it really means to be human. The first shocking confession came during a 2015 interview when Hogan broke down completely. He admitted something that stunned everyone listening. "I became a prisoner of my own character," he said, with tears in his eyes. "For 30 years, I couldn't be Terry Paul. I had to be Hulk Hogan 24/7. Think about that for a moment. Imagine living your entire adult life as someone else, never being able to drop the act, never being allowed to show weakness or being hurt." Hogan told everyone that even at home, even with his family, the pressure to keep up the superhero image was crushing. He talked about how tiring it was to always be on. Fans would come up to him at restaurants, airports, grocery stores. Kids would run up, expecting the larger-than-life hero, and Hogan felt he couldn't disappoint them, so Terry boldly disappeared. The real man got buried under layers of yellow and red fabric. This confession explains so much about his later struggles. When you can't be yourself for decades, something inside starts breaking. It's the cracks that would later split his life wide open started forming during those peak years, when everyone thought he had it all. But the emotional prison wasn't his only secret. Hogan's next confession was about the incredible physical price he paid for entertaining millions. In multiple interviews, he told the shocking truth about his body. "I've had 21 surgeries," he admitted. "My spine is held together with metal rods. I've lost 2 inches in height. Some mornings I can barely get out of bed." The man who once seemed unbreakable described waking up in pain every single day. He talked about taking pain pills just to work, about hiding his limp from cameras, about the constant fear that one wrong move could leave him paralyzed. Hogan told everyone that by the late 90s, doctors told him he should retire immediately. His back was so damaged that continuing to wrestle was basically playing a dangerous game with his spine. But he kept going. Why? Because millions of fans were counting on him, because the character of Hulk Hogan was bigger than Terry Bolley's pain. He described the leg drop that made him famous as the move that destroyed my back. Every single time he performed it, he was causing more damage, but it was his signature. Fans expected it, so he kept doing it, literally sacrificing his body, piece by piece. The confession that hit hardest was when he admitted thinking about suicide during his worst pain periods. The hero who taught kids to never give up had reached a point where he wanted to give up on everything. Perhaps the most heartbreaking confession involved his family. Hogan opened up about how his obsession with the wrestling business cost him the people he loved most. "I miss my kids growing up," he said, in a voice barely above a whisper. "I was on the road 300 days a year. I'd come home and Brooke and Nick felt like strangers. Linda felt like a single mother." He told told everyone that during his peak years, he was making millions but losing his family. While fans saw the perfect American hero, his marriage was falling apart. His children were growing up without their father. The success that made him famous was poisoning everything that actually mattered. Hogan confessed that he became addicted to the love of crowds because he wasn't getting love at home. The cheers from thousands of fans felt better than awkward dinner conversations with his own family. He chose the temporary high of wrestling glory over building real relationships with his wife and children. The breaking point came during his son Nick's car accident in 2007. Nick's friend, John Graziano, was left in a vegetative state. Nick faced serious legal trouble, and Hogan realized he barely knew his own son well enough to help him through the crisis. "I failed as a father," he admitted. "I was so busy being everyone else's hero that I forgot to be a hero to my own kids." Then came the confession that nearly ended his career forever. In 2012, a secretly recorded tape came out containing racist comments Hogan made during a private conversation. The fallout was immediate and devastating. WWE, the company that built its modern empire partly on Hogan's shoulders, cut all ties with him. His Hall of Fame profile disappeared. Decades of history got erased overnight. Sponsors dropped him. Friends stopped calling. Here's where Hogan's most important confession came. Instead of making excuses or blaming others, he took full responsibility. "Those words came out of my mouth," he said. "They came from a dark place inside me that I didn't even know existed. There's no excuse for what I said." He told everyone that the incident forced him to face parts of himself he'd been hiding for years. The pressure of keeping up a perfect image had created toxic thoughts that he'd never dealt with. When they finally came out, even he was shocked by what he heard. Hogan spent the next several years in therapy, working to understand how those thoughts formed. He reached out to civil rights leaders, studied his own prejudices, had conversations with his black friends and colleagues that he described as the most difficult but most important talks of my life. The most shocking part of this confession was his admission that losing everything might have saved him. Lena to fall said, "I needed to lose everything to find out who Terry Bolley really was underneath all the lies. I'd been telling myself what happened next surprised everyone." Instead of disappearing in shame, Hogan began the hardest work of his life. He started making amends. He told everyone that he spent months trying to rebuild relationships with wrestlers he'd hurt over the years. He reached out to people he'd stepped on during his climb to the top. He admitted to backstage politics that damaged other performers' careers. The confession that moved people most was about his relationship with Randy Savage. For years, rumors swirled about why these former best friends became bitter enemies. Hogan finally told the truth during a podcast appearance. "I was jealous," he admitted. Randy was more talented than me, better wrestler, better athlete, and I let politics and ego destroy our friendship. I regret that more than anything in my career." He talked about trying to contact Savage before his death in 2011, wanting to make things right, but pride on both sides kept them apart. Hogan's voice cracked as he described going to Savage's funeral and wishing he'd swallowed his ego years. Earlier, as Hogan entered his 60s, his confessions became more urgent. He opened up about his ongoing health struggles in ways that shocked fans who still saw him as unbreakable. "I'm dying slowly," he said during a 2019 interview. "Every day is borrowed time, but doctors keep finding new problems." He told everyone about multiple skin cancer diagnoses from decades of tanning and sun exposure, heart problems from years of steroid use, hearing loss from countless arena crowds, memory issues that he worried might be early dementia. But the confession that hit deepest was about his mental health. Hogan admitted to struggling with severe depression, especially after his divorce and the scandal. He talked about days when he couldn't get out of bed, nights when he sat alone, wondering if the world would be better without him. "I had everything and nothing at the same time," he confessed. "Millions of fans, but no real friends. Fame, but no purpose. Success, but no peace." He told everyone that therapy probably saved his life. Learning to separate Terry Ball from Hulk Hogan became crucial to his survival. For the first time in decades, he started liking the man he saw in the mirror. The most recent confessions have been different. Instead of pain and regret, Hogan has been sharing moments of genuine peace and growth. He told everyone that reconnecting with his children became his greatest achievement. Both Brooke and Nick have forgiven him for his failures as a father. They've built new relationships based on honesty instead of the old dynamics built around his fame. "My kids know Terry now, not just Hulk," he said with obvious pride. "That's worth more than any championship belt." He confessed that money struggles in recent years actually brought him happiness. Having less money meant fewer hangers-on, fewer fake friends, more time to focus on what actually mattered. Hogan also told everyone about his spiritual journey. He talked about finding faith later in life and how it changed his perspective on everything. "I spent 40 years trying to be God in that ring," he admitted. Turns out, real peace comes from admitting you're not in control. Perhaps his most deep, recent confession involved how he wants to be remembered. Instead of focusing on championships and matches, Hogan told everyone what he hopes his legacy will be. "I want people to remember that even heroes are human," he said. "I want kids to know that making mistakes doesn't define you. Coming back from those mistakes is what makes you strong." He talked about the letters he receives from fans dealing with their own struggles. People who found hope in his story of falling down and getting back up. That connection means more to him now than any wrestling award. Hogan confessed that his biggest regret isn't any specific mistake he made. It's how long he took to be honest about making them. "Wasted years trying to be perfect," he admitted. "I could have helped so many people by just being real from the beginning." Today, Hulk Hogan continues sharing his truth. Each interview shows new layers of the man behind the character. Some confessions are still painful to hear. Others show remarkable growth and wisdom. His story proves that even the mightiest heroes are human, that even legends make mistakes. But most importantly, that it's never too late to change your story. The boy who once dreamed of being a wrestler became the man who taught the world about making things right. His most shocking confessions weren't about wrestling moves or backstage drama. They were about the courage it takes to look in the mirror and admit you need to change, brother. That might be the most important lesson Hulk Hogan ever taught us. Sometimes the strongest thing you can do is admit you're not as strong as everyone thinks you are. These confessions changed how the world sees. Hulk Hogan, the perfect hero, became a flawed human being who found the strength to change. His willingness to share his darkest moments gave millions of people permission to face their own struggles. That's the real power of these shocking confessions. They remind us that everyone is fighting battles we can't see. Everyone makes mistakes they wish they could take back, but everyone also has the chance to write a better ending to their story. Hulk Hogan's most shocking confession might be the simplest one of all. He's not the hero he pretended to be for 30 years. He's something much more valuable. He's a real person who refused to give up on becoming better. And brother, that's a lesson worth learning from. Hit that subscribe button if you want more untold stories from wrestling's biggest legends.